Coming soon from San Francisco, California. This is Cory, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Not sure that you want to mention coming in San Francisco in the same sentence. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to episode 122 of the Anthem podcast. Hopefully, you're listening to us at otheanthem.com. That is the home for everything as part of the The Anthem digital network. If you're listening there, you're clearly on the podcast tab. Go ahead and do a search. You can find all our podcasts, all 122 episodes on a variety of different subjects.
You may be listening to it on one of the third-party platforms, like iTunes or your Dogcatcher or Stitcher or our favorite Pocket Cast.
Right, and while you're there, make sure that you give us a rating and a review if you can, especially on iTunes.
Yeah.
Because it helps us climb the charts. It helps other people find the podcast.
Another way you can do it
Yeah.
is if you're watching on YouTube,
Right.
hit the like, comment, share with a friend, do whatever you can. We especially like to promote the YouTube, though, because of the sidebar.
Right. I was going to say, you're missing on half the show if you're listening to the audio podcast, because you're missing Cory's beautiful... Cory's face, and my face, and the sidebar, and our information screen. I know sometimes we talk about stuff that people haven't heard of before, because, you know, we're worldly like that.
Yeah.
So the information screen kind of helps you be like, who is this person that they're talking about? Boom.
Yeah.
There they are.
It's like, who is Sean Astin? Boom.
Oh, why do you do that? Now I have to take a note to remember to find a picture of goddamn Sean Astin.
There's a picture of him tending bar. Put that one up there.
Now I have to find the picture of Sean Astin tending bar. Here we go. Well, and also we have a very important announcement today, and I want to get to that first. We have a new project for which we need your support. The Anthem Studios are tentatively moving. So we are starting a GoFundMe page. Our goal is a measly $950,000 because what we'd like to do is to purchase this beautiful place down on Portland Street.
Yeah, Portland Ave.
Portland Avenue in Baltimore. It's right next to the ballparks. It's everything that The Anthem is about.
Yeah.
So with your support and your wonderful contributions of $950,000, we can purchase...
Not $3.5 million, as assumed earlier. So already you're making out nicely.
We thought yesterday it was $3.5 million. We've already saved you like $2.7 million.
All right, so this will be the real estate corner of the show.
Right, yes.
Where you get the straight mortgage, 30-year...
30-year fixed?
30-year fixed rate mortgage.
Not jumbo.
There's a home I love that is very expensive, $950,000. But it is gorgeous.
It is.
And it is in a prime location.
Right off of Green Street in Baltimore.
And it's got parking for 3 and a backyard, all in Ridgely's Delight.
And here's what I'll say.
Beautiful. You looked through the pictures, right?
I did. Very lovely. And I see some space there that would be apt for studio space. Mm-hmm. So if we were to be able to get it, we could have live shows all the time. We could have people in studio. That's what the reason that I think people should support us is just that. I
think the natural progression of this podcast is exclusive dinner parties.
Right.
Like Great Gatsby style. We're at the end of the night or at the beginning. Maybe breaking the ice a little bit with the podcasting, and we have people running about in their various clothes and their
forks on plates in the background. Okay, yeah.
And you know it'll be good.
See,
be good.
You were.
I think we can write off a lot of it if we
have people.
Absolutely,
yeah. I was thinking more.
Can we make it a business expense? Can I be the first?
I mean, I'm not an accountant, but I think we can. Yeah.
I'm so used to hearing people say like on shows like, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak to you about the legal. But you are a lawyer, so you can speak to the legal.
I can speak to the legal, but not the tax consequences of it.
Right.
But what I will say is I immediately went to Hannibal Lecter's dinner party. I don't know why, because maybe that's where my mind's at. I was just thinking, like, we could have fancy dinner parties with, you know, like Hannibal Lecter, just like one of the guests with his skull cut open, and we'll just eat his brain right there.
Just conducting the orchestra.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. So go to the GoFundMe page, which doesn't exist, and give us $950,000 to buy it.
Or in lieu of that, Patreon.
Hey, yeah. So make sure you check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/OTheAnthem. We are clearly not going to use your money to purchase a home or studio space in Baltimore. What we will use it for, though, is to continue to produce Heretics episodes, to get new equipment for both the videos and for the podcast, clearly, to get bandwidth, to make sure that we can continue to produce all this great podcasts, not just here for the flagship, but also for the sister shows of Anthem Alliance, AnthemAlliancePodcast.com, and Dirty Shore Underground at DirtyShoreUnderground.com. So check out all of those shows. Obviously, we love your support to help keep this network going. So check out patreon.com/showtheanthem, and you can become a supporter. And, of course, you're not just donating. You get a lot of stuff back, including the pre-roll that we just recorded and a lot of other stuff as well.
And I realized something today as I was posting the pre-roll.
Yeah.
We say for as little as $1 a month.
Yeah.
But that's not even true.
Okay.
You can donate lesser amounts. I mean, you don't get anything for it if you
right.
donate less than $1, but you can literally give us your 2 cents every single month if you felt like it.
Right, yeah. Now, that doesn't qualify you for all the goodies.
Yeah.
But, for 98
you might as well
more.
pitch in the other 98 cents, but I mean,
And then you get a bunch of stuff, including the emails and the pre-roll and early access to episodes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't beat it. So check it out, patreon.com/OTheAnthem.
Yep. And every once in a while, I just ignore the rules about who gets what.
Just give it to everyone.
Even if you donate $1, you're like, oh man, I'll still miss out on that pre-roll. Every once in a while, I just
give it to everybody.
Just a little
teaser.
Just a little one of these.
Not one of those. No, not one of those at all.
I just like the way it looks in the camera.
Visual gag for an audio podcast.
Seagulling.
Fantastic. Seagulling. All right, so there's a lot happening in the world, and we need to talk about the most important news first. Mark Teixeira will no longer be a Yankee at the end of the season.
Yay!
Well, it's
you go home with your millions of dollars and your beautiful family in Connecticut. Yay!
It's interesting because you made a good point when we were doing the pre-show, which was just that Teixeira, when he first came out, was like the target of vitriol from all Orioles fans.
Well, once he signed with the Yankees,
yes.
Not when he came out. Because there was many years before where he played for the Rangers and the Braves and the Angels and
transferred to the when he played for the Yankees. And when he came out, we're not talking about when he came out of the closet. When he came out of the college to play for the majors.
Yeah.
That was fine, and we're fine with him playing anywhere. We still like Nick Markakis.
Yeah.
But Brian Roberts is dead to us because he went to play for the Yankees. So, but now at the end of a very storied career. Okay.
400 home runs from a switch hitter. There's only 3 people who've done that.
I'm trying to downplay it. Come on, what do you do?
Don't
build him up.
I'm just saying. I'm going to say plenty of shitty things about him. I'm trying
to renew the vitriol against him. Because the problem was, after they signed him, then the Yankees were like, hey, here's a bunch of other people you don't like. And then a lot of other awesome stuff happened, like Bautista sucking and then getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
So there's so much stuff to distract us these days.
See, but I maintain that I was always uneasy about Teixeira. You can remember this. Mm-hmm. When Teixeira was a free agent, I was like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't really like him that much anyway. I don't really see why we're going that crazy about the idea of getting him.
Because he's a local kid.
And, I know. Yeah. I got the appeal.
And he's worth $180 million over.
Yeah, but I mean, like, years. Look at that contract in retrospect. 7 years, $180 million, something like that.
181, yeah.
Yeah. And the last 3 years have been unproductive.
Yep.
The year before, the 4th year of the deal was injury plagued, and you got 3 quality years out of him.
Yep.
Congratulations.
For a lot of money.
You essentially paid him $60 million per quality year.
Yeah, Justin Rector posted a really interesting infographic that was like, this is what they purchased for $180 million. And it showed, like, basically, this was his line going into the contract. This is why they paid $180.
Right, like his WAR.
Yeah, and then below that was the statistics for the 7 years of the contract. And first year was strong. I think the second year was the best year of the entire contract. And then there was a period of injury in the third year that wasn't horrible, but it affected his numbers. And then 4th year was injury plagued, and then he came back and played, but he just wasn't the player.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this worth $100? And for every one of you Orioles fans who are saying, pay him, pay the man,
whatever he wants,
give him whatever he wants. And again, we can't we can't, we can, but we shouldn't Monday morning quarterback, because had he come play here, you never know what would happen. You know, Rafael Palmeiro made a comeback and be like, hey, man, here's some great stuff. Try some of this. And then he would have been fine. And
well, I can tell you for sure that we wouldn't have Chris Davis.
Right, because we don't need him then.
Now, whatever you may feel about Chris Davis so far this season is kind of beside the point. But
or last season with the suspension, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what were they 2 years ago?
Was that 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's right, because we were actually in the playoffs. So that
right.
happened. Right, yeah.
I feel better about having Chris Davis, I guess. Mm-hmm. At least for the last 3 years or so, 3.5 years, where he was, or 4. How long has he been here now?
Seems like a long time.
Yeah.
More than we've been doing the podcast, I know that. So.
It might be 4 years now. But
yeah,
I'm saying, like, we got relatively good value out of Chris Davis in lieu of a bloated $25 million for Teixeira or whatever.
Right.
So,
but
there were the lean years. There were the Ryan Hughes and the
what was
the Garrett Atkins and the Mark Reynolds of the bunches.
Your favorite first baseman ever? Oh God, what was his name? God, you hated him so much. God, I just remember he was a Blue Jay, and then he came to play here.
Oh, Millar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I loved Millar.
What?
Yeah.
I always thought you were being sarcastic.
Well, I was just joking.
Okay.
You mean talking about when I was going cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger?
Yes. The cheeseburger chant. That's what it was. Yes.
I liked Millar.
He was old as fuck, though.
Yeah, but he was still he still produced. His
Not
fall
Chris
off
Davis numbers, though.
No, his fall off wasn't as bad as other people towards the end, though.
Right.
I guess that's he wasn't the same player he was when he was with the Red Sox, but he was certainly not like a liability out there.
Right.
He was still a good clubhouse guy, if you will.
Well, and unfortunately for Teixeira, he apparently missed the memo that when you decide to retire, you have to decide a year in advance.
So you can get gifts and
you can do this ridiculous, countrywide tour, 1 year long. Where what is his number? 25. Where we can do a re-25 pecked tour, and I guess maybe the 5 makes more sense because it looks more like an S.
What I'm gonna do is I'll find the episode where we talked about Jeter's retirement.
Yeah.
You remember the whole, like, going into the funeral and, like, doffing the cap, and it's like, God damn it, he's fucking classy.
Yes.
I still like that bit. It still holds up. I would like to say one thing about Teixeira before we move on.
Yep.
Rockabacco, in his blog, wrote, I think it's time that we lay off Teixeira. It's done. To which I say, go fuck yourself, Rockabacco. No. You will not tell me how to feel. I will hold on to this forever. Every single character. There's only one name that appears in every single script I write.
Yeah.
You know what that name is?
Mark?
Some version of Mark. Mark, Marcus, Marquis, whatever. Some version of Mark.
Yeah.
And that person is always the bad guy. Always the bad guy.
Maybe it's a little too predictable. Eventually, people are going to your movies and like, wait for it. Mark, there it is. That's the guy. That's the bad guy.
The one.
Doesn't seem like a bad guy.
That's the one who. If I like guest direct a episode of Law and Order SVU, and it's just like, I'm Mark. What's wrong? It's like, that's the guy who's gonna rape her. That's the guy who's guilty of the rape.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably switch it up. Actually, I did.
Yeah.
Because it was Mark.
The
originally.
first draft.
Yeah, and the first up until recently, and then it became Derek. I wonder where I got that name from.
So, the rule is now, it's just famous Yankees. Have you seen the name of a famous... Mickey? Is there a Mickey in this? Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far back.
Okay.
It would be...
More
of recent vintage.
But
if all of a sudden there's a bad guy named DD, I think you know...
CC or DD?
Yes. The CCDD twins.
Okay, now we've just inspired somebody to name their kids that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't like that feeling. Yeah.
It's probably somebody who walks around going like, what? Championships are everything. I have no personal attachment to shit.
27, yo, 27.
You won 20 of them before when there was like 7 teams. So
I was going to say.
Calm your fucking asshole.
Yeah, you won them when, first of all, most of them were won when you were the most profitable team in baseball. Oh,
yeah.
Wait. No. All of them were won when you were the most profitable team in baseball.
Yeah.
And when you can just throw money at a problem, like, you know what?
You know why the Yankees have Babe Ruth? Because they could afford $500,000 a year contract for him.
In a year where
$500,000
teams were not paying $500,000 to everyone on the team.
Can you imagine?
Let's go back to those days. That's what I think. Let's just cut
where you could
everybody's
smoke in the
contracts.
dugout and make $500,000 a year.
The dugout. He's on first base. He's standing on first base like, yeah, and I ran that out. Yeah, now I need to take a smoke break. No, time. I call it time. Hang on.
I used to get called Babe because I have a frame that is equivalent to his.
Yeah. With
little tiny skinny legs that don't move
fast.
Yeah, little tiny leg. But also because I was constantly smoking on the field. Like, look at Babe Ruth out there smoking his cigarette.
Stealing second, sliding in. Yeah, that's right.
Cigarette first.
Marlboro country.
Yo, watch out, my cherry. I don't know why I assumed the Dundalk accent.
Yeah, I know. But well, that's because you.
I think whenever I'm playing baseball and I smoke, it's like it just comes out of me. I'm like, come on, motherfucker, give it to me.
Now you're Ryan Flaherty.
Yeah.
Come on, motherfucker.
Come on, motherfucker. All right.
Well, so other sports news that's going on. Well, not really sports. The Rio Olympics started this weekend. In fact, as we record this, the opening ceremonies of the Rio Games are going on. They started, based on when we're recording, approximately 1 hour and a half ago, which makes me assume that all of the Olympians are now dead and that the city of Rio is burning to the ground. That's all I can assume. That by the time you're listening to this, that the city of Rio no longer exists. Because, as we learned this week, it is basically one huge cesspool of human waste.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
By the way, just real quick.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk a lot of politics, but as we do. But I think one of my favorite things. So, Rousseff was the Brazilian president who's currently facing impeachment hearings.
Yeah.
And there's
while the Olympic Games are going on,
and her temporary replacement is her political rival.
Right.
So it's like Obama has to step down and like Paul Ryan comes in place or something like that.
Well, no, because I think in Brazil it's more like the Jefferson Burr thing where first place becomes president, second place becomes vice president. So now that the president is out, the rival in a system that has 14 parties, sometimes it's not a rival. It's like, hey, listen, we're the dark green party. We're the light green party, and we disagree on 3 things.
Well, the part that I find pretty pecan about the whole thing is because he's currently sitting leader, he gets to sit in the government box for the opening ceremonies in the skybox. And he made a statement when they were just like, are you going to allow Rousseff to sit in the box and watch the games? And she was such an integral part of getting Rio the Olympics. He's like, I mean, she can't sit in the government box because, she's not part of the government right now. But I'm sure we can find a seat for her down below underneath the box somewhere. Like, she can sit with the people down underneath me. Like, making on purpose to say, like, yeah, she could be underneath me. She can be down there somewhere with the regular people. I guess that's fine. And then they basically like asked her, like, what do you think? It's just like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
I love politics in the third world. It's great.
But so there's no clean water.
Well, let's. I want to start with this. So we don't remember because we were born that year, but the '84 Olympic Games, the Winter Games, were held in a city called Sarajevo, which was the capital of Yugoslavia.
That was not '84.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
84
was the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
So 2 years later, that would have been 86.
Yeah.
Because then the 88 games were in Seoul, South Korea.
I think so, yeah.
Right. And the Winter Games happen in off years. Am I right about that? Yeah. Every 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Every 2 years we have an Olympic game. So
right.
So then it was 86. The 86 games were in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, the Winter Games. And with 6 years later, people were using the high jump or the like the long jump thing as a sniper's nest because the city or the country had devolved into civil war, and then we Americans spent the better part of the 90s involved in Yugoslavia at different places. So 6 years, country devolves, and they're using the Olympic venues for like troop barracks and all kinds of stuff like that.
No.
So
actually, do you want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah. So
this will be really funny for the people watching on the video.
So in 6 years it devolved. So where the opening place where they had the opening ceremonies of these beautiful games, were actually like they were holding tanks and troop transports and everything. And the places where the Olympians were living were now barracks for these there was no real working government. Yugoslavia fell apart.
Right.
And then we went in there for like 8 years and there was a big long war. So it took 6 years, though, for less than that, because if it was the 86 games, it was 4 years for the entire country to fall apart. What it looks like to me is that Rio may not make it through the actual Olympiad that is there before everything just goes to shit.
Yeah.
There were reports that basically the lakes where they are going to be holding the skiffs, the rowing competitions and all that stuff.
Yeah, like crew.
Are basically just open sewers.
Yeah.
So, listen.
It's not too different than if we had the Olympics at the Inner Harbor.
Yeah, listen, assholes who said the Baltimore, Washington area couldn't have the Olympics. What, we can't do crew in the harbor because it's dirty? Yeah, where are you now, all right? Basically, they're rowing in the harbor.
Tapsco's full of shit, so...
Yeah, so...
I don't care about the Olympics. I mean, there's a small degree of pride that I feel when our men's basketball team is blowing out like
you mean when
Poland by 70 points or whatever.
When a team of professional basketball players beats a bunch of young men from a country who occasionally play basketball. Yeah. It's the Generals versus the Globetrotters over the course of a summer. Yes.
That dream team though. With
the
MJ,
92 teams? Yes, the 92 Barcelona.
Oh man,
team.
that was great.
No, that was literally Globetrotters because they were doing behind the back passes. No look, and the team from Poland just like, what game are we playing? I don't even know if this is basketball.
Wait a minute, isn't that technically traveling?
NBA
rules. We don't call it here. we don't abide by that rule in America. Boom!
He literally picked up the ball and ran from midcourt. It's MJ. He's allowed to do that. It's okay.
I think the one thing I noticed, and this is my only take on this, because I don't get into the false patriotism, and I don't get into the desire for America to win fencing or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, there's some sports I just don't care about, and I don't really have the same feelings that I did for Michael Phelps the last time he was in an Olympics.
I do, only because the fastest man on land and the fastest man on water both got caught smoking pot in the last 4 years, and both of them are going to clean house when it comes to the Olympic Games this year.
There was
naysayers.
There was actually one comment I enjoyed from Michael Phelps recently where he's like, actually, in the last Olympics, I wasn't even really trying.
No!
I wasn't really trying that hard. And I'm just like, nice. Rub it in a little bit.
Thanks, Michael.
Most Olympic medals in a single game. And it wasn't really, I gave it half speed.
You're going to see something this year. But he got busted smoking pot. Yeah. Now he's about to go ape shit at the Olympiad again. Yeah. So good for him.
Here's something I enjoyed. I was just out of curiosity. I was because I have friends in Sao Paulo, and I pulled it up on Google Maps. I was trying to find out how far away Rio was from Sao Paulo, just because I was curious if anybody was going to make the trek.
Yeah,
and I looked at it on a map first.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh, it's not that far away. It's right there.
Yeah.
In fact, incredibly far away. It's like 6 hours apart.
Yes.
It looks so little.
But it's a little big country.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
In fact, the other thing I was looking at was, if you go from like the southern tip to the northern tip, it's like a 72-hour drive.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
meanwhile, it's like 40 to get from like Maine to LA or something like that.
But we have very good roads. And Brazil, not so much with the good roads, though.
I imagine 30 30 hours of it is just putting your car on a raft and going up the Amazon.
Yes, that's exactly right. Fording it like it's Oregon Trail. It's the Sao Paulo Trail. That's what
thank God they're going to get some more use out of all those soccer stadiums that they built for 3 games during the during the World Cup.
Yeah, so
that they can use it one more time prior to it just becoming the largest bird
sanctuary.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the 2022 World Cup that they're basically building all these stadiums in Dubai.
Yeah.
Or Yemen.
It's Qatar.
Qatar. For using slave labor, and they're not
Qatar or whatever.
It's Qatar.
I don't give a shit.
They're building all those stadiums for use basically one time.
Yeah.
This 1 3-week period, and that'll be it.
Yeah. And
Rio has just done the same thing. It's an insanely poor country, and they've wasted a ton of money building all these venues that are not actually completed and are not actually built that well.
Yeah.
And aren't going to be used.
Still cost an extreme amount of money.
$5 billion. $5 billion.
The one... I do think that it's going to be funny in the World Cup in 3 years when it's in Qatar and it's like 125 degrees during the day when you're trying to play soccer.
Good job,
just
guys.
Running for 90 minutes.
Good job.
At a clip.
We're going to have our first death at the World Cup. Yes. All right. Well, and here's the other thing.
No, Ronaldo!
So the slogan that NBC puts out for the Olympiad is, the Rio Olympics, where the world comes together. And I thought about that some this week.
Yeah.
So there are 208 weeks between Olympiads.
Yeah.
4 years. And the Olympics last 3 weeks. So 3 weeks of the year, the world comes together. And then for 205 weeks, America basically bombs the shit out of half of the countries that are competing. Yemen...
Please put that comic up that I shared on your wall.
Yemen is sending Olympians.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a very good functioning government, but it's sending Olympians.
Yeah.
Oman is sending Olympians. Saudi Arabia. Syria actually has a couple of Olympians who are coming from Europe, but they're for the Syrian team. All these countries that we regularly are bombing are going to be competing against us in the Olympics. And how much of that psychological damage do you do? Just like if you're the fencing guy and you walk out on the mat and you walk up to the Syrian guy and you're like, hey buddy, you want to give me your home address? Because after I finish you off here, I'm going to make sure my government finishes off the rest of your family. All right, on guard.
It's like first gold medal. Next, I get to watch you not call your parents because they've been bombed.
Yeah. Actually, my family died 5 years ago.
You don't get to celebrate this with your family because my country decided to bomb your country. And secretly.
Do you think that the bombings are going to stop while the Olympiad's going on?
No.
No.
It's 3 weeks where the world's still not coming together.
Yeah, this idea that it used to be, during the 80 games, or maybe it was the 84 games, there was peace during the Olympiad.
That's the thing. It's not so much about the competition of sport and the world coming together, because this is all just we've lived in the era of the Olympics being a big deal.
Yeah.
Because in 84, because I was reading about Roosevelt, prior to 84, world leaders didn't go to this.
Right.
It wasn't a big deal. It was just like, whatever. Reagan didn't go to the 84 Olympics.
In L.A., by the way. That one's in L.A., yeah.
In his home state.
Yes, yeah.
He could have gone home for 3 weeks. No, he chose not to.
Chose not to go.
This has just become a bigger deal, and it's mostly just because NBC paid a shit ton of money for TV rights, so they put it on TV all the time. Olympic Games, Olympics are happening. It's not really...
Nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't really care that much.
But
still, I want to win all the golds.
Well, that's...
I want to win the medal count.
Right.
I want to rub it in.
Especially beat the Russians.
I want to watch clips from North Korean television where they say that North Korea has won all the gold medals.
And they've sent 0 Olympians.
Today, North Korea beat USA basketball 150-2.
So, but I mean, the bigger message.
LeBron James scored 2 points and then was killed for dishonor to Kim Jong-un.
I don't get the. I get it. It's great for these young athletes because if you have been doing crew since you were 12, this is it for you.
Oh yeah, I feel great for the people who are in the lesser sports.
Yeah,
like gymnastics. This is your only opportunity to really
shine.
Yeah,
yeah.
To show everything you've worked for the 16 years leading up to this moment.
And I feel bad for the people who are like, I've been training my whole life to swim in Rio, and you're putting me in a toilet. Like, they are sending warnings to keep your mouth shut while you're swimming because you may get diarrhea, which kills you. In 2016 at the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And if that's not enough, well, make sure you don't have too much sex because you could get Zika from somebody. I'm like, oh my God, let's just call it. And by the way, so it's the first Olympiad to happen in, the second Olympiad to happen in the Southern Hemisphere. The first one that didn't happen in a Western country. Australia had the 2008 Olympics.
Wait a minute.
Oh no, 2002.
Where's the Southern Hemisphere?
Everything below the equator.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to. Is Greece above the?
Greece is above. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then never mind.
Greece
it's close though.
Not really.
I'm gonna have to look at a map.
Equator runs through Africa.
I'm sure Rob will put a map up here to make me feel like an idiot.
Here you go. This is Africa.
Here's the 500 miles between Greece and the equator.
Not 500. No. Maybe 5,000 miles between Greece and the equator. But no. So the Olympics that were in Australia. That was the first Olympiad to happen.
Goddamn Decatur.
Decatur projection.
Yeah.
Makes you feel that false value.
Making me think that Greece is near the equator.
But yeah, so they happen in Australia, but they said that's not really because Australia is part of the Western world. So now Brazil's getting the games. It's the first non-Western country. It's a Latin speaking country. It's part of Latin America, and nobody they're getting games. Isn't this great?
Yeah.
And the last big thing that happened was like South Africa had the World Cup, and that was a big deal.
Yeah, but Brazil just had it.
Yeah, and so they're like, now we're upgrading to giving these countries the Olympiad, and no country in the Southern Hemisphere is going to get the Olympics ever again. That's my rule on this. Is they're going to say, okay, so here's the deal. No, if you're not in Europe or the Americas or Asia, but real Asia, not Middle Asia, like
Japan, Asia,
yeah, like Far East Asia, no games for you.
Tokyo can have an Olympic Games. Uzbekistan, not so much.
No games. No. The Ulaanbaatar Mongolia games, not going to happen. Sorry. No, you can't do that.
The Mongolian games would have great walls, though.
Jesus.
Great, impressive walls to keep out the Mongolians.
Now you're just making Trump porn? Is that what you're doing? Now you're just making Trump porn. But it's
Trump would go to admire the wall.
I like what these Mongolians are doing. They got it right.
Well, technically, it's China to keep the Mongolians
out. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd have good wall breaking competition. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and speaking of things that Trump in the news, I guess, he finally started getting classified briefings from the CIA and the NSA, and he promptly gave away classified information at his very first press conference after getting to view classified materials. So, yeah.
I would like to say this for the record.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton should be having one of the worst weeks ever in the history of a presidential election.
4 weeks, probably?
Yeah.
Worst 4 weeks.
Yeah. Should be having one of the worst. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Or fortunately for her.
Yeah, unfortunately for Trump.
Yeah. Fortunately for her, Trump has gone out and put on the absolute craziest week ever in the history of presidential politics. He took the bait on the Gold Star family.
Yeah.
He kicked a baby out
of a rally.
Yeah.
By the way, two groups you do not mess with: vets, Muslim or not, and babies. Yeah. It's politics 101.
One of the first things they talk about when running for president is kissing babies. I think I did you actually watch the video of that, by the way?
No. I knew it was just going to be upsetting, and I didn't want to do it.
What was so great about that one in particular? Because I mean, it wasn't like typical Trump offensive shit.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he's just like, let's get the beaners out of here or anything like that. It was like the baby's crying, and like I think he looks out and he sees the mother, and she's like looking like horrified, like, oh no, the baby's crying. Everyone,
motherfucking baby.
And Trump's like, no, I love babies. You can't control what the baby cries. The baby's fine. I love babies. Babies are great. Babies are what makes America great.
Yeah. Babies shouldn't be at the rally.
And then he goes back onto his speech
Baby keeps crying.
And the baby keeps crying, and then he stops again. He's just like, I don't think she gets that I was joking about the baby. Why is the baby still here?
Oh no! Oh man!
It would be like if somebody went out to the bar and it's like, no, I love fat chicks. They're the best. They're what makes the world go round. And then when it's just like, he really likes me. It's like, no, it's just kidding about the fat chick thing. Get away from me. You're ugly and disgusting.
With your complaints, please write into Cory at otheanthem.com.
I was doing a Trump.
Cory at otheanthem.com. Or give us a call. Leave a message. Let us know your thoughts. 443-219-7595.
I can't even believe this. Did you hear another great one? Did you hear what Scarborough said? Like, just in passing, just like a whatever remark. He talking about a security briefing that Trump had.
Right, yeah.
And 3 times during the security briefing, Trump said, why don't we just drop nuclear bombs on them? And the general or whoever was informing him was like, well, that's not really what we do.
Yeah,
we don't have them to use them. We have them as a deterrent. And he's like, well, why do we keep building them? It's like, valid point, Donald.
Yes.
I'm surprised nobody else has thought of this.
So, guys, what I want to stress to you is this. Vote Trump 2016. The world is coming to an end. Let's do it. Let's do it.
With a vengeance, straight to hell with us.
Just so it's clear, he this week started getting classified briefings. His first briefing, he suggests we drop a nuclear bomb on somebody. Oh, great. And then he also saw a video, which may or may not have been in the briefing, but seems clear that it actually was in the briefing, of a payout that the U.S. did to Iran in order to get some hostages released, because we don't negotiate with terrorists, except apparently we do. And so he then went out to a press conference or a rally and said he saw this video of us doing a payout, which is treason. Yeah, it's releasing classified information. So
just to, I'm going to read this direct from NBC News.
Okay, go ahead.
This is 24 hours of last week.
Okay.
I'm just going to run through it rapid fire here.
Yeah.
In a Washington Post interview, Trump declined to endorse House Speaker Paul Ryan against his primary challenger. He reiterated that he hasn't endorsed Senator John McCain and said the one-time prisoner of war has not done a good job for the vets. He slapped out at Republican Senator Kelly Iola, saying she has given me zero support. He suggested that Americans should pull their 401ks funds out of the stock market. He said he always wanted to receive a Purple Heart, but that having one gifted to him by a supporter was much easier. He said that the handling of sexual harassment has got to be up to the individual. Mm-hmm. He accused the Khans of being bothered by his plan to keep terrorists out of the country and said that he had no regrets about his clash with the family. He appeared to feud with a crying baby during a rally. Mm-hmm. He reiterated that if the election is rigged, I would not be surprised. The sitting president of the United States publicly called Trump unfit to serve and urged Republicans to withdraw their support for him. I love this one. Trump spokesman Katrina Pearson suggested that Obama and Clinton are to blame for the death of the
3,000 Americans on that.
No, Khan.
Of Khan. Oh, yeah.
Who died in 2004 when neither of them were in the executive branch.
Yeah.
An ally of Paul Manafort told our colleague at CNBC that the campaign chairman is mailing it in, leaving the rest of the staff suicidal. Sitting GOP Congressman Richard Hanna, HP head Meg Whitman, and former Christie aide Marcia Corano all said they plan to vote for Hillary Clinton. The Washington Post released a transcript of its full interview with Donald Trump, including, among other things, that he paused 5 times to watch TV coverage in the middle of the sit-down. A GOP source told NBC's Katie Tur that Reince Priebus is apologetic over Trump's refusal to endorse Ryan and is making calls to the campaign to express his, quote-unquote, extreme displeasure. That is 24 hours in the Trump news cycle.
Now, keep in mind, Hillary Clinton, we've covered last week, it continues, DNC leaks and classified emails and trying to cover herself and a lot of stuff that's happened.
Right.
And she is currently leading in 3 red states.
Yeah.
And what other big news was there this week? Big state news?
big state news?
Yeah, states that she should not have any chance in.
Yeah, she's pulling out of Colorado because she's already got like a 10-point lead.
Right.
She's effectively tied in Utah, which went to Romney by, 40 points last time.
Just so people understand, Utah is the Maryland for Republicans. Like, no one campaigns in Maryland because the Democrat is going to win Maryland.
Donald Trump might stop on his way through to Pennsylvania, from Virginia to Pennsylvania. He might stop through and just be like, we don't win anymore. All right, peace, see ya.
Well, no, do you know where he stops? He doesn't stop in the corridor here. He stops in Salisbury, where he had a rally.
Yeah.
Go out to where the Republicans live in Maryland and rally them up. Yeah. And, hit Delaware, hit Maryland. But Maryland is going blue, and it's going to go blue big. But that used to be Utah.
I'll put in the show notes the 538 live prediction of where the election stands.
Yeah.
Has Hillary's chance of winning Maryland at 99.9%.
They're just not willing to say 100.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance.
I mean, listen, she could murder someone on live TV, and as Jenna Kirkman said, I'm okay with her murdering people. So,
and Donald Trump in the interim could just come out and be like, listen, like take off the show, and he's just like, what Hillary Clinton did was absolutely incomprehensible, and I can't believe we're living in a world where politicians can shoot people on the street. I have a 15-point plan that clearly dedicated. It's like, where did you come from?
Who are you? Now, the much more likely...
And then Paul Ryan pulls off the Donald Trump costume.
The much more likely result is that Trump, who is seeming to get bored with the political process now, just decides to take his ball and go home, which is what I highly expect will happen before
Wouldn't
November.
that be wonderful?
Now, so we had talked about it a few weeks ago, and again, if you're getting your news from the Anthem, you're doing the right thing. But we had predicted that there was a likelihood of an insurgency amongst Republicans, that most of the Republican leadership was not coming out in support of Trump. Those that were not very strongly supporting him. And now
the Paul Ryan thing, by the way, is pretty galling because Reince Priebus is from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of a Wisconsin trifecta there between him and Scott Walker and Paul Ryan.
Right.
He was begging Paul Ryan to endorse Trump. Make this easier for us.
Yeah.
Just endorse him. Like, you can feel free to every once in a while come out with a statement going like, I don't agree with what he said.
But he's our candidate.
And I'll support him. He begs Scott Walker, please endorse Trump. Please do it. And then when Scott Walker's looking, or when Paul Ryan's looking for an endorsement in his race in the Congress,
can't do it.
I'm not ready to endorse Paul Ryan. I don't know about who he's running against, and I'm not ready to say that the other guy wouldn't be better.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a.
Well,
please give my friend Rob Cheek a job. He needs a job right now. He has no job. And then you hire him, and it's just like sleeping all day throughout stealing money and sleeping.
So there was a rumor this week that the Republican leadership was meeting secretly, and that they were looking
Well, it's not that big of a secret if we know about it.
Well, undisclosed sources or whatever, that they were talking about possibly somebody else running. That they are going to put out. My theory is, again, that they're going to put out a moderate Republican to run against him.
Yeah.
And it might be easier. It'll make things more lively anyway. If Trump's just like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm going to go. I'm going to go home. I'm just going to go back to New York and do my thing. So thanks, guys. And I'm out. Then the field is basically just going to open up again. Cruz right back in.
Yeah.
Ryan, I think, probably throws his hat in and says, listen, I've been leading this party when this joker was out here pretending to be run for president. I'm the guy who should lead the party. Kasich, another moderate, will come out and...
Mike Pence will be like, can I be included? It's like, shut up, Mike Pence.
We didn't even want you here. Trump got you here. You've
Why the fuck would we take the governor of Indiana?
You've got Trump all over you now, all right? So it just...
We need a governor from a state we can turn.
I just want everyone to keep in mind, this is the election to choose our president for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And this is the circus that we... No, it's usually a circus. It's usually insane.
We have one committing treason over here. We have one committing treason over here.
And we have... the CNN has basically said, our poll will control who gets in the debates, and 15 means 15. and Gary Johnson's polling at 14, and they made that announcement after the new poll showed him at 14. So essentially what they're saying is, we don't care that he's at 14. If he's not at 15, he's not in. And I'm like, why? What part of the process does this serve?
Yeah.
That he needs to gain 1 percentage point in your poll. In other polls, he's at 19. He's at 22%. Your poll, he's at 14. So he's out. Put him on stage. Put Jill Stein on stage at her 9 or 10 or whatever percent she's at.
Yeah.
Let him have ads. Because you know what? You put Trump and Hillary on a stage, and you put Gary Johnson on there, and things may get crazy real quick.
Yeah.
You know, get him on the national stage where people can see him, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah. I'm totally... Listen, Hillary's winning Maryland 99.9%, so I don't give a shit if I vote for Gary Johnson.
Feel free to vote for whoever you want if you're in Maryland. And that's the thing is, I made a tweet. I tweeted about this week. If Trump has to win 95% of white men in order to win this election, and I am in a state that he has no hope of ever winning, why are you all screaming at me and saying I have to vote for Hillary or else? No, I don't. I'm the one. And listen, narcissism aside, I get I'm a narcissist, but narcissism aside, I and people like me are the ones who are controlling the election. Because no person of color, any logical thinking person of color, is voting for Trump. No one of any religion other than white Anglo-Saxon Protestant is voting for Trump.
Yeah.
So he's got to win white men big, and probably white women big too. Not as big as the men, but... So if I have the freedom to vote for whoever I want, why do I need to vote for Hillary? Because we need national numbers. I'm like, you don't know how the Electoral College works. This doesn't matter.
Regardless, if I get 1,000 people, to vote for Gary Johnson, if I set up a call bank, and churned 1,000 votes, it wouldn't make a percentage change in Maryland.
Nope.
It wouldn't change it 1%. So. My one vote in Maryland means literally nothing. Mm-hmm. So everybody, shut the fuck up.
Well, and listen, I get the reason that they say these things, and I understand the logic behind it. But you guys have to be smart about it and think about a structured campaign where you say, "Hey, listen, voters in Florida and Ohio, and maybe not even those two states now, but some states, Pennsylvania." Did you ever see the movie Equilibrium? Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And there's a guy who's in everything. He was in Independence Day as the general, but anyway, he's that guy. You see him in a lot of stuff. He plays a military guy. He's in Equilibrium, and he tells Christian Bale's character, he's like, "We don't get to feel. We have to continue to take the shots so that all of these other people do get to feel."
Yeah.
Watch Equilibrium, and that makes more sense, guys. Sorry. But that's kind of what we have to say. We have to say, listen, voters in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Florida, you got to vote for Hillary. Because we can't have these states going to Trump.
Right.
But everyone else in other states, vote for whoever you want. Because if we can get Gary Johnson 15% of the national vote and get Jill Stein 5% of the national vote, we now have a 4-party system. And that
we're going to be Brazil in no time.
The thing is, it cracks it open. So then both of them get federal funding. We can start getting congressional candidates that can get funding. They get on primary ballots. They can hold primaries. And we can start cracking this 2-party system open again. But as long as we have this thing of like, listen, I know you're in Maryland, and Hillary's going to win that 99.99%, but we need you to vote for Hillary. No, you don't. And when you do that, you sound stupid.
Yeah.
And you make me hate you. Don't do that. Say, okay, here are the 5 states we have to win. Guys, you have to vote for Hillary. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. Ask yourself this question, because this is essentially what it comes down to. What voters is Donald Trump taking away from Barack Obama?
Right.
Like, what votes that Barack Obama had is Donald Trump taking away from Hillary?
None?
Yeah. Well, that's essentially it.
Yeah.
Because Obama won pretty easily.
Right.
In the last election. Really the concern of the Democratic Party should be making sure that everybody who voted this last time votes again this time.
Right. And
because if people think that Hillary's got it locked up, or if people think that, Trump isn't for real, or, I'm not voting for Hillary because she's a bitch or whatever, like, those are the ones that hurt.
Yeah.
But it really only hurts in select areas.
Well, and again, along that line of thinking, don't tell people you're stupid, vote for my girl.
Right.
Because that just makes me, if it doesn't make me want to vote for your candidate, it makes me want to first vote for somebody else. And if there's nobody better, because Trump's there, it makes me stay the fuck home.
Yeah.
And now you don't get my vote at all, and I'm not participating, which means that every vote theoretically then carries more weight. When more people stay home, every vote that's cast is more important.
Yeah.
And you know who's not going to stay home? Trump supporters.
Yeah.
They're going to go. And if you alienate half of Democratic voters and they the Bernie bros just don't go vote because they're like, fuck you guys, we're staying home.
Bernie people were voting for Obama.
Yeah.
Last time.
Right.
And they could have easily been part of the fold, but you decided to fucking make them feel like shit.
Yeah. You shouldn't be worried about them voting for Trump. You should be worried about them not voting at all.
Right.
And then
or not voting for you.
Not even just not voting for you, but not voting at all. Because then if you take away half of your Democratic votes, now Trump's got a shot.
Yeah.
Because his people are going to come out and vote. There's nobody who's going to say... And we talked about this in previous episodes. The Republicans are good at towing the line. Where they'll say, I hate Trump. I hate him. But...
Can't have Hillary.
Can't have Hillary.
Yeah.
Can't have Hillary. But Bernie bros would be like, no, fuck you. Fuck you. Bernie, you're cool. Fuck you. I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't give a shit.
Fuck you, Hillary. Fuck you, Donald. Fuck you, Gary Johnson. Bernie, you're cool.
Fuck you, Jill Stein. I'm out. But no, and they'll just stay home. And that's how you get the Trump presidency. And by being a bitch to people, that does not get people to come out and vote.
Yeah.
I do want to say one more thing on national politics, though. I want to say a big thank you, Barry. As everyone who listens to the podcast knows, we are on a first-name basis with the president. So, Barry, I want to say a big thank you. This week, he commuted the sentences of 214 minor drug offenders and people who had been sentenced to life and had served more than 10 years for more serious drug offenses. So, the biggest commuting of sentences in the history, or at least in the 20th century. So basically, if you were in federal prison for minor possession of drugs, you're out now, or you're getting out. And if you were doing something that's a little more weight or, distribution, that in most states would get you like 10 to 15 years and you'd serve 20 of a life sentence, they are also getting commuted sentences. So can we just stop the drug war already? Can we just say,
yeah, please,
this is stupid and we're losing this thing and it's just wasting resources. And Barry, I just want to send a quick message out to you. Commuting sentences is great and I appreciate that. But you know who controls drug policy in the United States? You control the DEA and the ATF and all of these lettered agencies. So instead of commuting sentences, go to those people and say, hey, stop.
Yeah.
Just cut it out. Just cut it out. Just stop arresting people.
Right.
And hey, how about stop going into states where it's legal at the state level and arresting people?
Yeah.
2 people that got released that had their sentences commuted were from California from the 90s, where they had legal dispensaries and they were arrested for distribution and charged federally. And I'm just like, I can't even comprehend, that you would waste the time and resources to do that. But good for them, and I'm glad we need to just get rid of this whole stupid drug war thing already.
I'm fine with it.
Really? I wouldn't suspect that you'd be on my side with that. No. So we do want to talk a little bit about... I actually did put a note in here about Sean Astin's bartending. Let me check that off because that's fun. We do want to talk a little bit of Baltimore news, too, while we're here. Specifically...
Baltimore County news.
Whatever. They have street corners in Baltimore County, so...
Where you can get straight dope.
Yeah, actually, yeah. You ever been to Dundalk? I don't know if you've been down there. You totally can. But so there was some national news again. Baltimore and Baltimore County are in the national news again for police. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So we have a differing opinion on this issue.
Yeah.
But a young lady named Korryn Gaines, who is a sovereign citizen supporter, and I don't share a lot of her political beliefs, but the police basically had a standoff with her for 6 hours and then kicked in the door and shot her 5-year-old, who was also in the house, who was apparently running away from the police when they kicked in the door and then they shot him. So, so that happened.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The police said they shot him. The police said he was shot by a tactical
I missed that part.
That was today.
Yeah, okay.
God, you told me earlier. What is it called? Taking out the trash day.
Yeah.
We had a taking out the trash day today where at 5 p.m. a bunch of stuff just got released to the press, and thankfully 10 years ago we would have never heard it. Yeah. I get my news from Twitter now. So, like, Justin Fenton's tweeting, like, interesting that they waited till 5:15 p.m., but Baltimore County released today that, or at 5:15, that the Korryn Gaines' son was shot by a tactical officer. Bullets matching. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're just going to be like, listen, she was holding him hostage. It's most likely that she shot her own son while fighting the police. And then 2 weeks later, it'd be like, actually, we shot him. So, yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Here's the point I was making.
Mm-hmm.
I am not saying that people shouldn't hold on tightly to their constitutional rights.
You're not saying that they shouldn't,
right?
So you are saying that they should.
They should.
Okay, that double negative. You're a writer, for God's sakes. Come on.
The point I'd like to make is that if you make yourself a problem, then it only makes things worse.
Right. Listen, if you're a roach and you're living in the house, you got to expect that the owner is going to bring in the exterminators. I totally understand that.
I just like I was saying to you, like the Eric Gardner one, like just makes me hurt inside.
Okay.
Philando Castile makes me hurt because these are people who weren't doing anything of note,
right?
And died for it because people got way out of line.
Okay.
When I hear about shootings, where that it looks like the guy was reaching for a gun, or like if there is a way to make it seem like this was legitimate in some way, it makes me harder to fall for it.
Okay.
Or to say that it should go either way. It's just a tragedy all around at that point. She was driving around with a cardboard on the back of her car, basically saying she's a sovereign citizen who's not allowed to be stopped or be part of your rules or regulations. And
basically, there is a sovereign citizen movement that says that these 4 cases establish that travel is not meant to be restricted, and I don't need to have a license, I don't need to have registration, I don't need to have tags. I am a citizen, and I am traveling on the roadways, and I'm allowed to do that. And they take off their license plates and they put a piece of cardboard or something in the window that says to that effect.
Right.
Pursuant to these 4 cases, I do not have a tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it tends to draw attention.
Yeah.
So.
It tends to make people look.
Yeah.
So she got pulled over for that.
A lot.
Yeah. And then there were many outstanding tickets, which went to court,
and
she didn't show, and they issued a bench warrant, which led to the tragedy that happened.
Right.
I still feel there's not enough details out to accurately say what happened. There are things that we know about that I do not like. I do not like that the police shut down her Facebook and Instagram and all those.
Yeah.
During the entire affair, because it looks a little shady.
Yeah.
Much like
the U.S. pulling out of the international court.
Yeah.
Like, we're about to invade this country. Well, clearly you will have to abide by international treaties. Oh, no, we're pulling out of this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it seems like you're about to do something shady.
Yeah.
No.
But I don't, the police claim she had a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether or not she did. I mean, we know that she owned one.
Yes, she had it in previous videos.
But I don't know if she had it, like, pointed at the door, or if she was screaming, like, anybody who steps in this motherfucking house is getting an asphalt lead. But
apparently she's a 1980s villain now.
Yeah.
Is that?
she's
she's Ed Norton from Fight Club. That's what that is. The first person out this door gets a lead salad.
She's the she's the character from the movie that's playing inside of Home Alone.
Okay, yeah. You filthy animal.
Yeah. We shouldn't laugh. Home Alone was a funny movie, though.
We're laughing at ancillary topics, not at the tragedy. Yeah.
I just at a certain point, step out with your hands up should be the end of the conversation. I mean, there's no way that if she didn't get shot by the police and her son didn't get shot by the police, that they were going to sit down in the kitchen over tea and discuss it. And the police were going to go you know what? We've got all these bench warrants, but we're just going to let this one go. Okay. We understand where you're coming with this sovereign citizenship. And yeah, maybe we're being a bit unreasonable. At some point, whether or not the shooting aside, at some point she was going to be arrested. At some point she was going to be brought to jail.
Yep.
These things were going to happen.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the everything that happened between the start of the incident and the end of the incident could have ended a lot easier if there wasn't a standoff.
Who do you think controlled the circumstances of that? About how it ended? Who had the most control over how that ended? She could have marched out with her hands up. Yeah. Absolutely. She didn't have to.
No.
She's securing her persons in place. They had no right to entry. In fact, when they kicked in the door, and then someone was like, oh shit, we don't have a search warrant. And then they backed out of the door, and then they got a search warrant saying that they saw her with a gun, even though it's unclear or not whether she had the gun at any point. And then they shot her kid when they re-entered it. All that aside. How many SWAT teams go out to enforce traffic bench warrants?
Not many.
Almost none.
Yeah.
They only use it if they are suspecting you of doing other stuff. And they're like, oh, wait, he's got a bench warrant for a ticket? All right, so we want to get in the house. We got no other reason to get in the house. We're going to go in on this bench warrant, and we're going to get in there.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the police started the encounter.
Yeah.
You get picked up on these bench warrants usually by being out and driving again, and then they pull you over again, and then they say, oh, well, you have a bench warrant, so I'm going to need you to step out of the car. And then they arrest you and they take you in. You don't take a SWAT team to a house. And when you find out there's a kid in the house, you can then treat it like a hostage negotiation, which is what they said, that the child was in danger, therefore he's a hostage. And then you call in the hostage negotiator, instead of letting the sergeant from the SWAT team be like, listen, bitch, we're coming in, and this ends one of two ways. Either you give yourself up, or we're going to shoot everybody up inside. Which is not what he said. I'm not saying that's what he said. But that's what happened, unfortunately. So the police control everything about that. Because here's another thing the police can do. They can shut down Facebook. They can shut down Instagram. They can also shut off the electricity. And it was 95 degrees in midday. And I don't know about you, but not really wanting to stay in an apartment with no lights and no air conditioning and no anything any long time there.
Yeah.
Not being able to prepare any food, not being able to do anything. Just shut it all down, treat it like a hostage negotiation, bring out the professional hostage negotiators, and let them handle it.
Right.
But they didn't do that. They went in with a dynamic entry on a 23-year-old woman and her 5-year-old child. Unnecessary. And then they say, well, it's her fault. It's her fault that it ended that way. Essentially, that's what you're saying. She should have just given up. It's her fault that it ended the way that it did.
I'm not saying it's her fault.
She should have just given up because she's going to jail eventually.
Let's play a quick game of two people doing the exact same crime.
Okay.
Me and you are both driving on the interstate.
Yeah.
It's a 55 mile per hour zone. And we're both doing 70.
Okay.
And we both get pulled over.
Okay.
Separate incidents. It's not like we're
side by side.
Side by side. Yeah.
I'm definitely getting a ticket.
Well, no, I'm not even saying me and you. I'm saying person A, person B.
Yeah.
Person A has their hands on the wheel. When the cop walks up, they say, do you know why I pulled you over? Mm-hmm. They answer questions from the police. I'm going to reach into my glove box to get my license and my registration now.
Yeah.
gives it to the police officer. I'm not saying you have to do this, but I'm saying
but you do.
You do, just because you are trying to minimize the amount of trouble that can be caused because you're already pulled over.
Yeah.
You give up the documents. You remain calm. You stay there. Police officer comes back, says, "I'm going to write you a ticket for speeding." All right. Instructions are on the back. You can fight it if you want. Sign here.
Yeah.
Go on. Be safe. Go on. If they pull over person B and they're playing "Fuck the Police" loudly on their car stereo, refuse to roll down the window at all.
No, I roll. You roll it down.
Well, you roll down the crack. Yeah.
That's what I need. I can hear you just fine, officer.
Can you turn down the radio, sir? I don't think I have to. I don't think I'm legally obligated to have to do that. And then fight every single thing that the police officer is trying to say. Mm-hmm. Well, none of this is illegal. Well, none of what you did is illegal.
Yeah.
In person B's case. You're maximizing the opportunity for either you to get the ticket or for this to become worse for yourself.
Okay.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to have your rights to do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
As long as it's legal. What I'm saying is...
You should expect.
You should expect there to be problems if you become a problem to the people who are going to be deciding said things.
And my only point is this.
It's not having a conversation about selling loose cigarettes and getting chokeholded to death.
But he's breaking the law the same way that you're breaking the law by speeding. And him saying, "No, y'all ain't fucking with me today. Y'all ain't fucking with me today," is the same as me saying, "No, I can hear you just fine. I'm not rolling down the window anymore."
Right.
So Eric Gardner, which moved you by your innovation, is the same thing as me saying, "No, I can hear you just fine over the radio. Thanks. No, I refuse to answer questions without an attorney." And then giving my name, rank, and serial number, which I like to do just because it pisses them off.
Yeah.
Because it takes 3 or 4 questions before they get that that's what I'm doing. And they're like, "Oh, very funny. All right, I'll be right back." But it's the same exact thing. But one you're like okay with because he's not flexing his rights. He's just basically saying, "I'm not going to do what you're telling me to do. Fuck you, I won't do what you told me."
Let me put it this way. Let's say I was just speeding. Mm-hmm. Nothing but speeding. The worst that really... I don't want to say the worst, because we've proven that there's worse that can happen.
You could die, yes.
Yeah.
You couldn't die. I wouldn't die.
Well, no, because I'm invincible and I'm never going to die.
Well, no, because we're white. And we're middle class and white.
Yeah.
And because it's not going to happen. But people of color don't have that benefit.
It's just like a Ben Folds song. I'm saying, if I'm just speeding, and I know that at the end of this, most likely is either I get a ticket or I don't get a ticket. Mm-hmm. My MO is not get the ticket. That's my idea. Try and do anything I can to minimize whatever this guy is thinking.
Right. That's
everything I ever do with any encounter with the police. Now, if I have a brick of cocaine tied to my leg...
Yes. You heard it here first. Corey travels with bricks of cocaine strapped to his leg.
That was person A, not me.
And his license plate number is...
No. But if I do, person A has that tied to their leg...
Yes.
I'm gonna be very, very mindful of the law.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very mindful of what rights I have, and while still continuing to be, try to minimize this so that this doesn't come up.
Yeah.
My point being, you can yell fire in the theater.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can't. No.
Well, I mean, you can yell fire out in the public. Can't?
No, because it's inciting a dangerous situation.
Oh.
It's not protected by First Amendment.
Okay, I could walk down the street yelling "fuck."
Yep,
over and over again.
You can.
I can just scream it at the top of my lungs, just walking down Pratt Street, screaming "fuck."
They'll probably do an 8502 or whatever it is on you, though. He's clearly crazy.
Yeah, but if you make it about this, then it's going to be about this.
Yeah.
And I feel like this situation in particular could have ended differently. And I'm all for the rights. Just know when to use them.
So here's the thing.
When you're driving around with a cardboard placard saying that you're a sovereign citizen,
yeah,
you're opening yourself up for trouble.
But you have to know that when she does that, she's going to fight.
Yeah.
Every single bit of the way. And that's ignoring the fact, by the way, that in your example of the two drivers, were they driving dangerously at 70 miles an hour? Were they traveling with traffic?
Yeah.
Were they swerving in and out of lanes?
Let's say they were both going with the flow of traffic.
Okay. Were they cutting people off?
Nope.
Did one of them pit somebody to spin him around on the highway?
Nope. Just violating the law.
Okay. So the police officer has started this encounter not for public safety purposes. Let's not bullshit each other and say it's for public safety.
No, because modern automobiles are perfectly capable of driving 70 miles an hour.
Safely.
Yeah.
Safe for the passenger, safe for those people around them. And oh, by the way, everyone around them also traveling 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's not a Yugo.
No. They are stopping you not to enforce the law, not to enforce safety, but to raise funds for the state.
Right.
They are highway pirates. That's what that is. So the police officer in both your examples has started contact under false pretenses. Their job is to protect and serve. It is to be servants of the peace.
Yeah.
And they are not doing that. So no matter what I do, I don't care. I am... Every breath of my life is about objecting to a system that we have created through my father's going along with the process and your father's going along with the process, and both our entire family saying we're white and we don't know that there's a problem.
Technically, my father would probably be more like you than he would be like your father, but continue.
In his older age, he's moved to the more stillness, and but the ignorance of what's going on in the lives of people of color have created this situation, and I have the ability to say, "Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me," to cops, and just my little rebellion. That is my little rebellion to them, and it cost me $140 for a 70 and a 55. Then that's what it cost me, and I'll go to court and I'll fight every single step of the way, because in the end, Justice Sotomayor put it aptly: we live in a carceral state. We are all in a prison. We are in prison America, and much like a prison, you can have some free reign, but you can't go wherever you want. And you have to follow their rules, which seem arbitrary and stupid and are enforced arbitrarily against us. And all of this, none of this matters. But yes, can we all be docile? Yes, we can all be sheep and we can all be docile and just let everything go if that's what we want to do. Absolutely. Every breath that I take is about trying to fix the system. Every day is about trying to fix the system. And you don't do that by just staying quiet and being polite. If I can flex my rights and frustrate somebody, and more importantly, they can beat my ass and I can pay off my student loans, come on, Baltimore City cops, let's do it. I need some fast cash. I need to pay off my student loan.
I mean, what I like to do is go through, do the polite, the yes officer.
Yeah.
It's in my glove box. Do you mind? I'm going to reach for it now. Those sorts of things. And then as soon as they get back to the car and they're running everything with the shotgun mic pointed at my car to see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To see if I go like, oh God, I hope they don't search to see if I have a brick of weed in my car.
Yes.
What I instead do is I just start a call on the Bluetooth to law office.
Right.
And leave a message.
Yeah.
I just wanted to alert you that I've been pulled over. I don't know what could possibly happen next in this situation, but this is just informing you that I am on the side of 83. It is 11:23 at night. The process has already started, and if you do not hear from me again by whenever, you have been made aware of this situation. And then very often the police officer comes back and he's like, I'm going to give you a warning this time.
Okay.
That's
yeah. Again, white privilege, because a woman of color in California called 911 saying that the police officer who stopped her was uber aggressive. And when the police officer heard this on the shotgun mic, do you know what he did?
Became uber aggressive? He
got out, dragged her out of the car, and beat her on the side of the road.
Yeah.
While 911 listened to the phone call, not through the Bluetooth, but through her phone that was still in the car.
Yeah.
So we have no idea what it's like to live in that situation.
No.
Where you call 911 and say, I think this cop's about to beat my ass. And then he beats your ass.
It's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wrong. And I will I will fight every day to make sure that things become fair.
Yeah.
For everybody involved. And more likely than not, that has to do with police reform.
Right.
And changing the laws. And making it so that it's not so difficult to prosecute somebody if they do something that's over the line.
Well, I will say I have a post coming up this week. Everybody should make sure they check out foundingthefuture.us because on the blog I have an interesting post that occurred to me this week. We talked about it before, where point of fact, you are safer, generally speaking, under the rules, walking the streets of Baghdad and dealing with American soldiers than you are walking the streets of Baltimore and dealing with police. More information on that this week at foundingthefuture.us. So
will that be out before Tuesday?
It'll be out around about the same time. So
okay. Well, if it's out before,
yeah,
it'll be in the show notes. If not, look for it.
And I do want to say that I'm going to try and find you the link. But if you've heard about Korryn Gaines and you want to help out, there is a fund for her child who was shot and her other child, and it's a GoFundMe for her family. So check that out. Yep. And support. And another thing to check out this week is the Baltimore Sun got the transcripts from the Freddie Gray trials. We don't really have a lot of time to talk about it, but just to mention it briefly, some of the stuff that happens when they turn on the white noise machine in court is hilarious. And if you had any thoughts that Judge Williams wasn't just straight down the middle, what you hear on those tapes will certainly change your mind.
Yeah.
Basically, he's like, shut the fuck up, put the trial on, let's do this thing. And I love. I had some doubts. I had some concerns. Everything I read from him during those like little off the record moments, assuaged everything. I was so clearly, what little percentage I laid at his feet has now been moved back in front of Marilyn Mosby, and it's totally her fault now. So make sure you guys check that out. But
I'd love to meet Judge Williams and just pick his brain,
smoke a Cuban cigar. Are they still illegal? We're ending the embargo, right? No, we still have the embargo. You can just travel there. So ironically, you can travel to Cuba and smoke a Cuban there, but you can't bring a Cuban cigar back with you.
I guess not, yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, you can get one. It's just illegal.
Yeah.
Technically.
Be careful, because they might choke the fuck out of you.
You try and sell them on the street?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Welcome to America, 2016.
The world we live in.
Class, 2051. So that's the end of 2015. Now we're going to move on to 2017. Teacher, what about 2016? We don't talk about 2016.
It was a weird year.
A lot of stuff happened. We just don't talk about it. We pretend it didn't happen. Barack Obama took another 4 years.
He literally had a press conference, like a national address. Yeah. They stopped everything on TV. And he came out and he's just like,
I can't.
Listen, guys, show of hands. Who really wants me to go?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not saying we have to. I don't necessarily need another 4 years, but maybe another 2 while we just figure out like a new election. And
I'm just going to stay around until something else pops up. Does that sound good? Show of hands.
Sure. I don't see anybody say no.
Okay, we're good. And paranoid white men all over the country.
Yeah. That's true. It happened. Exactly.
To the bunker.
Exactly like Rush told me.
You've been listening to the EIB network. Boom, boom, boom.
Did you have anything else on your list? I thought there was.
We had some. That's all right though. We're good.
It can hold.
Well, it'll hold.
You know what else can hold?
What's that?
OhTheAnthem.com. Cory at OhTheAnthem.com. Oh, the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595.
And you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com for more information about me, my political blog, foundingthefuture.us, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon. We're working through the final edits on my new book, so that's going to be coming out in just a few months. Make sure you check that out. And if you want to find out what's going to happen in the next few months, the Moving Insurrection.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you. So yeah. And yeah, what's going to happen in the fall of 2016? Been pre-written. Yeah, I'm a psychic. It's right there, up in that book right there.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you are listening to the Oh the Anthem podcast, part of the Oh the Anthem digital network. For Cory, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody. And stay woke.
God, I wonder what Trump's going to do while I'm gone.
No.
We're going to miss so many things.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Special podcast next week.
Yep. Enjoy, guys.